This is literally all the music theory you will ever need to make fire samples. This is not a basic beginner video on how to build chords. These are all my secret scales and all the tricks I use every single day. There will be two parts to this video. First of all, I'm gonna break down everything I know about dark melodies and then everything about melodic, more pain type of melodies. And in the end, I'm going to share the best way on how you can implement this into your music production. Let's dive right in, bro. So first of all, whenever we're making dark melodies, we want to use a minor scale. That's more basics type stuff. Minor scale has a half tone step between the 2 and the 3 and the 5 and the 6. So 1, 2, 3 half tone, 4, 5, 6 half tone, 7, 8. Now this is the basic scale we use for every dark melody. If we move the C, the 7, to a C sharp, it becomes a harmonic minor scale. Now if I play that through, you already hear the ethnic connotations at the end. I really like to use this scale for ethnic dark lead melodies. So whenever we have a basic minor pad or some melody laid down, I often use this scale to go into a string to play in some ethnic top line. So here's what that would sound like. Basically, when you want to achieve that ethnic sound, you want to focus on playing the 6 and the 7 and the 8 and the 5 close together, otherwise it wouldn't sound that ethnic. The minor scale and the minor harmonic scale are pretty much the two scales I use most for dark samples. When it comes to bass lines, it's simple for most dark samples. I just keep it at the D in this case. What you can do is you can have variations at the end where you go down to the 6 or to the 5 and make it then drop into the 1 again. If you're more like want to create that journey feeling, go down from the 1 to the 6, A sharp minor in this case, then you can go down to the 5 or stay on the 6 or go up to the 7. This gives it that kind of journey feeling. My favorite trick when it comes down to creating dark melodies is focusing on the halftone steps, especially the halftone steps between the 2 and the 3. Just a simple example, but we're centered around those halftone steps. Those halftone steps is really what creates that dark vibe. In my opinion, the 2 and the 3 are more applicable than the 5 and the 6. Because when you put the 5 and the 6 together a lot, it kind of sounds more evil. Sometimes it's too much. Here with the 5 and the 6 it's more evil, so mainly use the 2 and the 3. You can always implement the 5 or a 6, just what sounds good sounds good. Now let's talk about the melodic stuff. Here we have all the chords in the D minor scale, and we can right off the bat delete the second one. Now these are the chords we want to work with. Now you can combine them in any ways, but the most used really is the D minor, the C major, A sharp minor, and the A minor. We don't really use the G major that often, but you can always use it as well, so I'm just gonna delete it for now. Now if we just space out these 4 chords that we have now, which is the 1, the 3, the 6, and the 7, it would sound like this. Which already gives that melodic kind of feeling. So these are the chords we want to use. Of course there are unlimited options on how you can like structure them, but these 4 chords are probably the most used in them. So this is how a beginner would make chords, but if you want to spice it up, first of all you want to space the sounds out over different octaves. But not only that, what is really a pro tip is just keeping the first initial melody the same. Let's create a quick pattern. So really the trick here is to keep the first pattern pretty much the same, only do minor changes and then change the bass line. Isn't really a new chord, it's just the bass line that changes, but just take a listen on how that sounds. Of course this is a trash melody and it's just an example, it's way too simple and way too repetitive, but just as a guideline you want to keep the top melodies fairly simple or fairly the same. and then just change the lower melodies. That's a pro trick you can use, and that's how advanced beatmakers make chords. Now this doesn't mean that you have to keep all the notes the same all the time. Of course you can paste them down to make it more into the chord, but just play around with that and keep like a consistent top melody, because this is what gives the melody the top line that the listener can remember if it's fairly the same and similar all the time. Now, as you can see from the ghost notes, I just laid down a simple chord progression going from the 1 to the 7 to the 6 and back to the 7, and this sounds like this. Now when it comes down to laying down a top melody, I use this minor pentatonic scale. So that's a minor pentatonic scale. The easiest way to remember is it's just like the minor scale, but you just delete the 2 and the 6. The pentatonic scale is really there to improvise, and everything you will play in those notes over that melody will sound good. But what I always like to do is still play around with the 2. So I'm just now going to show you how that works. I'm going to freestyle over that basic chord progression in the minor pentatonic. Whenever you struggle laying down counter melodies for those pain or melodic type loops, always use the minor pentatonic. If you want to use the fill forward minor pentatonic, add in the 2 again and just take out the 6 of the minor scale and just play around those notes, and it will sound great every single time. Now let's get into some sauce. If you want to add a little bit more of that blues feeling, a little bit more of that soul touch, which is used in a lot of Rod Wave songs, you can use the minor blues scale. This one goes as follows. Now this scale may look weird to you, and that's because it is. There are 3 halftone steps following each other, but the way I remember the minor blues scale is just we go from the root note, we go up 3 semitones, then we go up 2 semitones, then we go up 1, 1, then we go up 3, and then 2. So that's just the way to remember it, but you don't really need to remember those top notes, you just need to know where those 3 consecutive halftone steps lie. So if we apply this to freestyling, this is what it will sound like. Pretty simple, just gives it that blues vibe. So if you want to implement the blues kind of melodies, just use the minor blues scale. Now how can you implement this into your own melodies? First step will be getting a MIDI keyboard, at least 49 keys, so around 4 octaves would be best. Second step is choose one key. I personally picked the D minor because I think it's the easiest scale to remember, and I recommend you use D minor as well, but you can pick any scale you want. Step number 3 is like every time before you make a beat or every time you pull up instrument, quickly play up and down the minor and the minor harmonic scale, or play around the pentatonic scale and just develop that feeling for the scale. Now you should really do this until you have them memorized in your head, and if you look at the piano you already see the scales kind of outlined. I know this sounds weird, but when you get to the point where you played them enough, you can kind of see the notes on the piano, so you just know instinctively which notes you can play and which ones you can't. Fourth step is just start every sample in D minor from now on, or in the scale you picked. And what will happen is you will start to develop a deep understanding of the whole scale. You can always transpose this understanding to other scales as well, but to be honest, I really only have this understanding in 1 to 3 scales. If we're talking about fully developed, I only probably have it in D minor, but that's enough for me. So really you only have to do this once and master one scale to be set for life. I've been making samples for 6 years now. Here's everything I learned.